Hi everyone and welcome back to another episode of Dead After Dark. This week we're going to be talking about season 7, episode 13, entitled Bury Me Here. We have a special guest today. Not only is he my lecturer, but this is Chris J. Allan from the Cinema Minute.
I haven't really done it in a while. Been making a lot of videos for college instead.
Yeah.
Some people have been helping out, some good students.
Like myself. So thank you for being here. It's a pleasure. This wasn't actually supposed to happen. Chris was like, "Can I be in it?" So
I did not.
yeah, you did.
Can I be in it?
Can I be in it?
I just came and sat down and then he started filming around us really.
Oh no. Well, we've got loads of bloopers now, so. Anyway, so Chris watched this week's episode as well, so it's just a normal review and we're just going to keep talking about this week's episode. So, overall, what's your opinion?
Have I been enjoying series 7?
You haven't?
I haven't.
Oh, I have me. I think it's been more of like an emotional season rather than like action-packed. Like I like the fact that it's been like an emotional lead up to this fight with Negan.
Yeah, see, for me, it just feels like the whole Negan thing is just kind of too similar to The Governor a couple of years ago. And like,
In a way.
but in a
maybe,
less
yeah.
interesting way. Like, Negan's just like a less interesting version of The Governor.
Shut up, no.
Yeah.
Negan is hilarious. Negan is like such a badass. I love Negan. For the first kind of minute that we're in the show, after Restless Night, Carol goes back to the kingdom to find out what happened in Alexandria and why Rick came to see King Ezekiel, but Morgan was hesitant to tell her what actually happened about Glenn and Abraham and Spencer and Olivia and all of the people that Negan killed. So why do you think Morgan was hesitant to tell her?
The Morgan thing has been interesting, and like I think some of the interesting things that the programme's still doing is like Morgan and Carol.
Mm-hmm.
She's called Carol, isn't she?
Yeah. Well, short hair. Mm-hmm.
But like it just seems to be like, I don't know. It seems to have been going on a long way. Like it seems to have been really stretched out. I think it is interesting. Like I think Carol, but I think it's always obvious that Carol was going to come back. Like we see at the end of the episode and is gonna like get back into action and stuff.
Yeah, it's like she knows she can't take this time away. Like she can't just take a holiday. Like this is like a 24-hour thing, so she can't
I
just.
quite liked it the other week when Daryl came to visit her and stuff.
Yeah.
And like that kind of he made out that everything was fine, but yeah, I don't know. I've been struggling with like. Similar with Morgan really, like his whole like monk thing now and not wanting to resort to violence. Like, I don't know, it was just kind of, it felt like a matter of time I suppose. And like, especially when he was like starting training the kid in it and stuff, the blonde kid, what is his name?
There's Benjamin, the older one, and then the little one who's training at the start, he's called
So is
Henry.
it Benjamin he was like training with the stick?
Benjamin's the one that died. You know, the one that got shot by
Yeah.
Jared.
Spoilers. I mean, you know,
Do you want to continue?
I don't know what I was saying.
So the next point is Morgan is trying to teach Henry, which is the lad, the tiny little lad. Henry, and I put in brackets, Benjamin's little brother.
Mm-hmm.
So Benjamin, you know, the lad that died, it's his little brother who was training
Yeah.
at the start of the episode. How to fight with a stick. Which
I think the thing is, this program, like, it is interesting that he had like that kid he was looking after and stuff. But I don't know, it doesn't seem like they stick with anything too long either. Like, and I know it is kind of meant to be shotgun when a kid gets shot and stuff like that, but that's happened so many times now. It's the same as with like, it's the fact they've done that with the shotgun. Like even going all the way back to series 2 when it was Carol's daughter who died halfway through it.
yeah, when
Remember on the farm?
Yeah.
So like, you know what I mean? I think like a kid being killed, or in that case sending to a zombie, is a big deal. But like they keep going to that, and it's like maybe actually having Morgan looking after that kid for a longer period of time might have been more interesting than the like shock thing of just
Well,
like
he
killing
calls
him
him
off.
Dwayne. He
Was
did
the
look
same
after
as-
he did look after Benjamin for a long time, and he called him Dwayne when he died. He went like he said Dwayne wasn't supposed to die like this or something, and they were like, Dwayne, like who's
That was
Dwayne?
his son.
That was Morgan's son. And then I was supposed to mention this later on, but Morgan then actually starts to have visions, and you know when in series 3 when they were at the prison, and Rick, Michonne, and Carl went to
And they find
King
him.
County, and
Mhm.
they find him, and he's got like clear written on his wall, and he's like, I'm seeing red and all this like for blood, and then he, like I said, and he even says Dwayne, so he kicks a box and he finds the hidden fruit.
Mhm.
You know, the hidden fruit that
And many kind
Richard.
of. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I think it is interesting, but like obviously he's kind of snapped and goes back to that sort of crazy state. But I don't know. I think like the fact it's already when they did that in series 3, it was like interesting then.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you kind of go back to it, it's not going to be as interesting as that first time. You know what I mean? And I think like him looking after a kid again, like having a second chance, as you know, because obviously his son died somewhere between that season 1 and season 3. He didn't die in the episode, did he?
No, we don't actually
in
see
that
him
first
die. Like,
episode.
he explains to Rick that because he couldn't shoot his wife, and like I think it was the end of the first episode.
That's in the pilot, yeah.
He couldn't shoot his wife, and it was actually his Walker wife who broke into the house and killed Dwayne.
His son.
And because he's like, she was just on him. Oh my god, that was horrible. That when he explained when Dwayne died, I was streaming with tears. But so yeah, the next point is Richard buries a backpack with the name Katie on it. Now at the start of the episode, I just assumed Katie, little girl backpack, his daughter. It's that connection, or it was like his niece or whatever. Like having him like a close relation to him, and I'd kind of already like assumed it was his daughter. And then later on, when he was explaining to Morgan, my daughter, like I waited a while to take action, and my wife died. And then I think when he was out on the road, he like been awake for like 3 days or something. He hadn't eaten 3 days, and then his daughter died because of that. I think because they hadn't eaten and slept in 3 days because they were just on the run. And yeah, and he buried the backpack saying Katie, and then he dug another grave next to it, which he had a sign.
Bury me
here.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's interesting. I mean, yeah, I don't know. If it's just that sort of thing. I don't know if that's the direction. I don't know. I've been struggling with this whole series really. Just thinking the characters are less interesting versions of like things we've seen before. I mean, I think the Kingdom is like a really interesting idea, and the other people who Rick gave all the guns to last week.
The junkyard people.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're called, the junkyard people. That's what people in the they're in the comics, and I think that because I haven't caught them in the comics so far yet, but I think that's what they're actually called, the junkyard people. Isn't it crazy that they've been there in a junkyard since the very beginning, and our group's been to a prison. They just had a normal camp. They've been to a prison. They've been to Alexandria. They've been to Herschel's farm, and these people survived in a scrapyard. And our group's been everywhere.
Yeah. We were talking about this the other day, actually. The kind of weird zombie. I know this has obviously gone back a few weeks now, but the zombie with like all the spikes coming off it and stuff like that.
That was so cool.
But is it like, does it fit into like The Walking Dead?
You
know what I mean? Like it seems like we were talking about it, but we quite enjoyed it because it was like something different, and the program hasn't done things which are that different for a while. Like we're saying, like it feels like stuff.
Almost, doesn't it?
But yeah, but then like Walking Dead started off being like kind of not realistic, I suppose, because it's zombies, but like as most realistic as you can be with zombies. Where Resident Evil is so like
Resident Evil made it clear from the beginning that it wasn't
like
real,
stupid and over the top action and stuff, which is fine. But then it seemed like it was from more like Resident Evil and stuff, which is interesting. It was something different, but does it fit in with The Walking Dead? I don't know.
The characters change. Like it doesn't fit in, but then again, is that necessarily a bad thing? Because we like all the characters change all the time. We see them get put in different circumstances. They get put in different situations where they have to kind of do stuff to get their way out of it. Like Rick's had to bite someone's throat out before, just to get out of a situation. So it wouldn't it be great if we saw just as much as we've seen the walkers kind of change because they've become more rotted. They've become like, you can just see it, like you can just pull, like when Rick last week pulled the leg off that walker and his ankle just snapped off as if it was just like a twig.
Yeah.
So like the kind of the science of them's changing. But do you not think it would be cool if people started using walkers to their advantage, like putting the knives in them and using them to like make them like Rick?
I guess that goes back to the start. I mean, again, like obviously when you first met the show, and she was using walkers as sort of like a bodyguard sort of thing, wasn't she? And even in the guy who made the bullet, this series, Eugene, like he was saying about like spray painting them like with metal and stuff to keep them on the wall, wasn't he, last time when it was the Eugene episode about 3 weeks ago? So yeah, I guess there is that, but yeah, I guess it's like I don't know. I suppose that one seemed a bit more over the top, as I was saying. not a bad thing. Like it was interesting. It was like an interesting fight to watch and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Does it fit in with The Walking Dead? I suppose.
It would be cool though if like sometimes things could fit in, but then other times it just kind of makes it interesting just not to have stuff that fit in. Like, have you read the thing for next week's episode?
No, not yet.
Because someone has to make like a heartbreaking decision or something, so I'm guessing someone has to decide if someone dies or not. But
Always do.
But yeah. Anyway. So on the next point is on the way to the annual trade with the Saviours, Ezekiel encounters a blocked road with shopping carts, which makes them late to the trade, and which will ultimately piss off the Saviours. So, you know, I kind of assumed it was Richard doing something.
Is that the boring guy who did it?
Yeah, and the guy who hid the fruit as well.
Boring man.
I didn't think he
I didn't know his name was Richard. Boring
Regs.
man. Boring man is what I would call him. But
Oh, I like Richard, mate. I think he kind of did it for the right reasons, but I don't think he thought through his head the consequences.
Yeah.
Because they ended up
Yeah,
shooting
I mean,
Benjamin
again, like
at
that
him.
was kind of an interest. Like that's the thing. The story, that part of it was quite interesting, but you know, it turned against him. But yeah,
Totally backfired.
yeah, didn't work out so good for him.
Oh well. So because they're late and they're missing one piece of fruit, Jared shoots Benjamin, which we've already discussed, and then he bleeds out and dies. And Ezekiel and the other people from the kingdom go to Carol to ask for her help, but he ends up just bleeding out anyway. I thought it was a cool shot when, you know, when they put the little bandage, like when Carol put the bandage over his leg, and then just the blood came like just through it and you could see it. Oh, I know that sounds about a second psychotic, but I really thought that bit was cool.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you know, obviously the whole point of that scene was to like, it convinces Carol to get involved again, doesn't it?
Because people are still coming to her even though she's made it clear. So she's probably thinking, I'm needed. So
I suppose that's the thing. That's why, you know, when we've kept seeing this whole series, but like,
alright.
you can't have props out and me not wanting to play with them.
Okay, you can play with.
I suppose that's the thing. When you kept seeing Carol all this season, like, you know, it's only a matter of time again before she gets brought back in. And so obviously this was the thing that, you know, push her over the edge sort of thing. So it was good to see her like in the kingdom by the end of it with the kingdom man, the king. I don't know what he's
King
called.
Ezekiel.
King Ezekiel.
Do you know the name of the tiger?
The tiger.
Shiva. You know his tiger?
Someone spends a lot more time on IMDb looking at these things than.
No, I'm just interested. Did you not even notice that he had a tiger?
I noticed he had a tiger. I didn't know what it's called.
Say, like, Shiva.
I'm not good with names.
Shiva. Oh,
What's your name again?
What?
What's your name again?
My name? Are you joking? You don't know my name? You mean lecturer?
It's like, I want to say, you're not Regs, but you're in that area, aren't you?
Yeah.
One of them.
Give you a clue. Begins with an L.
I've got nothing. Lance.
What the fuck? No, it's Lucy.
What's your language in my lesson?
Christopher. Don't give me that.
Come on, Ben. Where were we?
I
quite like the obviously last week's one. It got a lot of sort of shit online for sort of bad special effects.
Oh my god, the CGI dear.
Oh dear.
Christ almighty, that shit gave me nightmares. I can't believe how bad that was.
See, I watched last week's and this week's together. So I'd heard for like a week of people talking about how terrible this CGI was. I was like, when it happened, I was like, yeah.
I didn't see it till like Wednesday last week because I was at Harry's, and honest to God, like just in that day, in that Tuesday, all the shit online, because I follow like all the blogs and stuff on Facebook and like Twitter and stuff, and just all the shit that it was getting on everything. Like, fair enough, like if all the animals, like I said this on last week's episode, because me and Regs were discussing it, I said fair enough if all the animals were like that, but in season 2 they actually had a real deer. They had a real deer in that scene, even though, you know, it got shot and then shot Carl. But
I think the thing we're saying is that like this is something we were saying with staff the other day, but like when Walking Dead started, so going back like series 1 and series 2, and when they did like seem to like put a lot more effort into some effects and stuff like that, especially if like you never thought like anything looked out of place. But then I think so many programs do it like better now, like Westworld and Game of Thrones that kind of came along since Walking Dead started. And like, I don't know, it can't get away with doing things like half-assed. You know what I mean? Like CGI like that, because everyone will pick up on it. Like maybe when the program started, like almost 10 years ago, people wouldn't have been as bothered. It's like, oh, it's on TV. But now, like, you can't really get away with doing something like that crummy now, especially when like the competition is so good. Like those are good programs.
Exactly.
Well, oh dear.
Oh dear. That's a real nice slap by that. So yeah, we've already mentioned how Morgan, you know, once Benjamin dies, Morgan then starts to see Dwayne, and he starts to see like the signs clear, and then he starts to see like all this stuff that he used to write and really weird shit. So then Morgan obviously finds the fruit, and then he confronts Richard, and you know, Richard just admits to it. He knows what he's done is wrong, because obviously he hid it because... Do you know why he actually hid the fruit?
So yeah, so obviously it was to, you know, make that group of not the governor, I'm saying the governor now, but the group of like Negan's people sort of angry that they haven't, the governor's back, everyone. Spoilers for season 8. But yeah, to like convince his group that they weren't meeting their requirements, so that guy he was having a fight with a couple of weeks ago would kill him. And then spark off this big war where the kingdom would get involved and help Rick and take on the governor.
I don't think he thought
Not the
about
governor,
it in the long run,
Negan.
though.
I'm just going to keep saying the governor now.
No!
You can just edit all this out, right?
Yeah.
Just when I say the governor, you just put in...
I just write over the top, Negan.
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 This is when Negan but yeah, so I mean, like that was interesting, that whole like setup sort of thing. But yeah, when it's a character like him who's shown to be a bit rubbish, like he's not meant to be like really charismatic or really successful like Rick or something. You know what I mean? Like he's not a leader. Like I suppose when you see a character like him set up a plan, you know it's going to go wrong. And so then it kind of
especially because they're in the kingdom, like they haven't had, like they've most likely lost people, but they haven't really thought like the like with Rick, he thinks of he has to think every situation through, and he has to think of all the possibilities that come out with him. And he has to think about all the possibilities that come out with him, and he's kind of taught everyone else to do that. Why are you laughing?
I don't know. I want to put the hat on, to be honest.
We'll put the hat on then.
I'll save it.
Okay.
Next
Save
time.
the moment for like the end bit.
I'll come back for the season finale and just wear the hat.
You can if you want. Come back for the season finale. Alright, stay tuned. But yeah, Morgan confronts him, they have this whole conversation. Morgan then, Richard then says, you know, I waited around in the camp I was in before, then my wife died, then my kid died, and then all this shit. And then Morgan, when they get the next day, when they go back to give the saviours that one singular piece of fruit, pettiness at its finest, when they give them that one singular piece of fruit, I don't even know what it was. It looked like a melon, like I guess so, melon. Yeah. But yeah, Morgan, I knew Richard died because I'd accidentally read spoilers. I didn't know Benjamin died though. But when I wasn't expecting it to be Morgan to kill him, but Morgan just smacks him out of their head with that stick, and then just, oh, for God's sake, the Egg Father Part 2. The walking egg. Egg after dark.
He's gonna walk in front of a camera. King of the cameos.
No, what are you doing? Wait, no, stop this. Stop this right now, Richard. Yeah, we also have another Richard right here. Richard is making a cameo appearance in Dead After Dark. I managed to book it. What are you doing? Rex, please stop. Rex, please stop. Fuck's sake.
Can't protect her, Rick.
Where's Carl?
I've ruined the surprise of doing it.
Bye. Right, okay, keep that on. So yeah, Morgan smacks him over the head with that stick. I just make yourself comfy.
some people take their shoes off in some people's lessons and just walk around like that's normal as well, don't they?
Well, it is because
These aren't technically touching the table, so it's totally fine.
Right, that's totally fine. I don't care.
Some people, literally put their manky feet straight onto the table.
I don't have manky feet, right? But anyway, so yeah, Morgan kills Richard in front of the Saviours to prove to the Saviours that they understand. Which was, I was not expecting that from Morgan. I'm gonna be honest.
That's the thing. Again, it's obviously he's been looking after his kid, and it's a chance for him to be a father again, give his kid guidance, and he's had that taken away from him. Again,
I think
after
it's
his
like
real
when
kid.
Carol was looking after Lizzie and Mika. Remember the two little girls she was looking after,
Mhm.
and then they
In
ended up
the prison.
dying. And then when
Was that in the
Sam
prison?
came along, yeah, when Sam came along, and then she just didn't want to make that. Okay, all right.
Bizarre. Sorry, guys. Studio lights.
Okay. And then she just didn't want. What are you doing?
I'm not looking like crap on the Dad channel.
On the Dad channel. But yeah, so when Carol looked after like Lizzie and Mika, and then she made that emotional connection, she tried to make that emotional connection again with Lizzie and Mika and try to be their mum almost. And then they died. So because Carol had Sophia died, then she tried to make that connection again. It didn't work, and then in the future she's just kind of been any kid she's come across.
Yeah,
she's been
so
quite
it's a
nasty, like
similar.
Sam. So it's like it's a similar kind of storyline.
It's Morgan's
with them.
equivalent.
It's like the Morgan's equivalent in like the same storyline, which I think is like really really cool. But like you said before, like I don't really want them to kind of keep using the same thing.
I mean that's hard. It's a thing people always say about.
Final explanation.
All right, that's one.
American History 8.
Excellent.
Sometimes I just feel like just dropping out of this college, mate, and just going on my hands and knees somewhere and just looking at please have a job.
The yoke isn't funny anymore. That's crack on.
That's excellent. That. Anyway,
Yeah, so I know what you mean. The thing about Walking Dead at this stage is, and obviously it's almost at the end of 7 seasons now. It's kind of a thing of like people say about stuff like Coronation Street or EastEnders or whatever. Like
it's gone on too long.
They're just repeating stories. It's someone else having an affair with someone else, and it's
Someone getting
but
pregnant
like
and
whatever
then
it is and stuff. And like
the occasional death.
I guess Walking Dead has kind of got to a similar thing in some respects. Like if they will repeat stories, and repeating stories is fine because it's a different way that you do it. Like,
There's so many ways you can do it though.
like it's how characters are different, and people complain about that in the new Star Wars films, like it's just a remake of the old ones and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not because it's how it's different characters in those positions. Like if two people got a situation in front of them, they could do it totally differently. You know what I mean? And that would be totally different stories from where that point spreads off from.
Yeah, like Rick wants to play it right and have the advantage over the Saviours, but Richard just kind of just straight up wanted to just start the war.
But I guess that goes back to the whole main problem of this series, is that it is just the governor thing again of like we're gonna have to rise up and take over this bigger one. It's kind of that same thing, like we're gonna have to rise up. And it's slightly different because we're gonna have to rise up and we'll get these guys to rise up with us and these guys to rise up with us.
But it's also the way that they react to things. Do you think it changes sometimes? Like even like the tiny little things, like when Rick was just like, we have to fight them, and so was Maggie. Maggie was just like, we have to fight them. Like with the governor, they were like, okay, let's try and make a peace treaty. Let's do all this. Let's try and not fight. And even Rick said at the gate when the governor pulled up in a tank. Even Rick was like, we can all live here, even though we knew that it wasn't going to happen and it couldn't have happened because of what happened in the past. They don't even want to try anymore. They're just like, we'll have to fight. Like even when they first heard of the Saviours in Negan, and they went to that, you remember that outpost, and they just killed them. And it's like they just have different reactions to things now, and I think it's just it all comes down to character development, and it all comes down to the way that certain events have changed certain characters. And I don't know, in a way I think it's really smart with some of the things that they do, because I pick up on little things like they say and what they do, but then again, like it can become a bit repetitive and it can become a little bit boring.
It's hard because you want to make the thing is to get character development, obviously that character needs to grow. The problem with a program like this is when they're stuck in one place and they can't really do anything. They can only grow so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the only things they can grow into is like either like, you know, they can only grow like how Carol grew from, because Carol was a proper like in the first series a proper mom sort of thing, wasn't she? And then she became.
She was terrified.
But
She
that's
was scared all the time, wasn't she?
but she like evolved over a couple of series into like a proper badass. Like that's kind of the main thing people can do, isn't it? You know, I mean, you see like Rick growing from just
Growing from.
like, you know, obviously being someone responsible, a policeman, but then like having to become a leader and stuff. It's the thing of like they're only growing to be so many things because they can't, you know, grow. Doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even work.
Glorious Bastards does.
Cracking.
Christopher, please leave.
I'm going to go next door and play Red Egg Redemption.
But you know what I mean? Like in a normal film, you might see someone developing as a character because they'll, you know, go to university or get a new job or they'll learn a new skill or something. But that's the thing again, the only new skill they can learn is how to kill zombies and stuff. So that is the thing where it maybe gets repetitive because, I don't know. But I mean, even that was the thing that was interesting again, going back to the Governor series. Like they had to become farmers and stuff, didn't they? And like, so you see them maybe trying to become a bit more like politicians almost at the minute because they're trying to work between the different
They
communities.
did in the prison
and stuff.
when they made like their own council. They even named it a council. It was like Herschel, Carol, Daryl, Sasha. They were all in this like council because Rick just couldn't lead anymore. So it is like they're all picking up on all these new skills, but they're still picking up on all these new things, which is what's great. That they're still learning, they're still adapting, and I mean, even though like life lessons they've learned like from the start of the apocalypse sometimes just aren't really relevant anymore. You know, it's still like, it's just, I don't know, I just think it's smart. I think some of the things that they do are just smart, and you know, you should watch Talking Dead as well. Talking Dead's really good. Talking Dead actually explains some of the stuff that you don't understand, or if you go on the AMC website, I use the full recap that they do. They just basically like do like an article about what happened in the episode, and they explain like Richard gave this whole speech, and literally on the website it just said Richard explains how he waited too long and his wife died. That's literally it.
Something I don't understand it. I think it's just sometimes it gets a bit like, again, losing interest in some characters, I guess, and stuff like ones like Richard compared to like some really interesting characters I've had. He just kind of doesn't compare, and so it's hard to like get involved with him. I used to watch Talking Dead, but then my Skybox just stopped recording it, and I was like, meh.
Oh really? Oh,
I was like,
um.
I follow Chris Hardwick on Twitter. I get the gist.
God, Chris Hardwick's so funny. I think he's a right boy, mate. But anyway, so yeah, Morgan buries Richard in the grave that said "Bury me here," and he finds Katie's backpack and he buries Richard with Katie's backpack, and then Carol finds out that Negan killed Glenn, Abraham, Spencer, Olivia, and others. So obviously she's upset about that, and I think she deserved to know in the first place, but because Daryl at the time thought Carol might actually die because of this, even though Carol didn't even know the Saviors were alive until an episode ago, or so. You know, people are going to die, and I don't think Daryl wanted to make our last thoughts really negative, and I think he just wanted her to be happy. But then
yeah, that's the thing. That was a nice thing that Daryl did. But again, it was that sort of thing of like, he says that now, but it's only a matter of time before she finds out the truth. And it turned out she found out the truth like
she
only a
didn't-
week
she
or
didn't
two
like
later.
it, but-
You know what I mean?
But it gave her that push. Like, she was already considering going back, because she did. She woke up early in the morning, she went back to the kingdom, and then she went back to the cottage. But then that push of finding out that Glenn and Abraham and Spencer, Olivia and others had died, it gave her that kind of fire, and she just went, right, back to bags, off she went, and then now Morgan lives in that little cottage. And
There's that thing of like, that would have been better for Carol though, wouldn't it? Really? I mean, what Daryl did was maybe the nicer thing for her, because she has wanted to get out of it like so many times.
Yeah, but
Which
like,
you kinda
it
get-
just doesn't work like that anymore. Like, you can't just take holidays. Like, this is like a 24-hour thing. Do you know what I mean? It's like having a child. Like, you know, like, say if you and your girlfriend
Oh yeah, I
have a
guess I know.
child.
That's the thing. It's like, but it's a shame. I mean, like, you know, she's done so much. But that's the thing. I guess it's good for the fight against Negan that she is back, but you know, especially for someone who cares for her like Daryl, that's really putting her in a bad situation because every time she goes on like a really daring mission, there's another chance that like maybe the only person left alive who Daryl loves is gonna die as well. It happened with Beth, it happened with his brother, like, you know,
Yeah.
the only person, but like maybe, you know, Daryl's obviously close to Rick and Carol, and that's kind of it now. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
from Daryl's perspective, I guess it was like, you know, he's not gonna be happy that she's back, even though her being back is obviously gonna like help their fight.
Yeah. I think they just need all the men that they can, to be honest. Like, even if Carol has to give up this kind of peace that she's got going on, it's tough shit. The world's how it is now. So the ending scene was Morgan sharpening his stick, which is kind of him saying, you know, I'm going to have to kill people. Yeah, I'm going to poke some people with this stick. You know, I'm giving up. That's it. I have to kill people. It's just what has to happen. You know, not everyone likes it. Like, in the beginning, actually even now, people don't like it. Obviously, because it's killing people. It's going against, you know, everything that they've believed their entire lives. But, you know, it has to happen. So, yeah.
What are your hopes for so there's 3 episodes left?
3 episodes.
What are you hoping is going to happen by the end of the series?
I'm hoping that there'll be, you know, a little bit more character development. I'm kind of wanting to see things from characters. Like, I kind of want to see Rick become a bit more stronger in himself, because he, in the last episode, he was saying to Michonne, like, oh, can we just take 2 more days, just 2 more days. It's like, usually he's just adamant to get back and he's adamant to fight. So I want to see him kind of get back to this kind of mindset where it's like, right, we'll have to fight, we have to do this. I don't want to see Michonne be a soft bitch, because Michonne has always been known from the beginning as being hardcore. She's wicked, you know, she's just so cool. I want her to come back. Like, I don't want this relationship between them to make them softer, because it has with Michonne, and even Rick noticed that, and he did say something to her. I want this kind of, I don't want this saviours and even thing to be stretched out for so long, because it's already been going on, like, I think it's been going on a while in the comics, I'm not sure, but I don't want it to be stretched out for so long that it just doesn't become interesting anymore.
See, that's where I think it's gotten for me. Like, it's just too
Like
similar
now?
to the Governor, and the Negan thing's just too, like, yeah, just like a bad guy who's in charge of loads of people. So yeah, like, you know, I hope it gets like finished, like you're saying, and in an interesting way. But yeah, I hope afterwards they try like something different. I mean, you know, what I always thought was interesting a few series ago was when the guy who made the bullet, Eugene, was like, even though he was lying, saying he knew the cure and they had to go somewhere. I think even like the fact that we're going somewhere different, like, felt they were heading towards something. And when they're just kind of like, we've got to go and fight this guy down the road, eventually, like, it's just kind of like, it doesn't feel like it's building up to something.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I hope the next thing feels like it's going somewhere bigger.
100%. So
Cool.
yeah, that's it for this episode, isn't
Walking Dead.
it? Walking Dead, aye.
Dead After Dark.
Dead After Dark. So yeah, thank you for being on. I mean, I don't know if you've got a lesson now or anything.
I probably do.
You just skip your lesson.
I don't yet. Not yet.
When does it start?
Oh,
like
my days.
3?
Egg at
It's 2:30.
half 2.
Shit,
20 past 2.
I've got an hour and a half to edit.
Okay, what's done?
Okay, well, thank you very much for being on this week's episode.
Thanks, guys.
So yeah, I'll see you all next week, hopefully. I kind of just say that now because I don't even know if I'm going to be here next week, but I've been in 3 weeks in a row, so, you know.
All you Dead After Dark fans will be...
That's big.
Who watches it? Is it just you rewatch
No, it's not. It's like my family and my friends and stuff, like, they all watch it. They're all like, ooh, cool. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll hopefully see you all next week.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Dad.
Dad.
Dad.